Welcome. This video is meant to take a moment to talk through my point of view on the college experience. Now, I'm not an advocate for everyone attending college, but I do firmly believe that the experience can have many benefits that a lot of people may not be aware of. Now, given some of the ongoing debates regarding college, such as, is college the right path for me? Can I really reach my goals without the significant cost of a college education? The one discussion that really intrigues me is, as a company, the thought of changing hiring policies towards not requiring a college degree for some high-level positions. So given some of these discussion points and ongoing debates, I think putting college under a microscope would be very insightful. I'm highlighting these quotes in relation to some interesting observations by other people regarding the human experience and the value of knowledge. The first quote can be translated as, "Be very careful. There are efforts to either withhold knowledge from you or misinform you. This has been happening for centuries to keep people ignorant." The second quote is self-explanatory. Keeping people ignorant can be viewed as a drug that makes them vulnerable to irrational beliefs and/or conspiracy theories. The last quote just emphasizes my shared view on being a lifelong learner if you are in the pursuit of reaching your best self. Now, although I went to Lawrence Tech, I do want to note that Lawrence Tech is not sponsoring this video. But as a simple mental model, when a job description calls out college degree required, what does that really mean? In other words, if an employer would not necessarily be interested in you without attending college, what happens to a person in college that suddenly gets their attention? It has to be some type of a bold transformation. And as a side note, bold transformation is a term used in some companies' vision statement or mission statement in relation to expectations of employees to help drive innovative ideas. So if you've seen this before, hopefully this video helps interpret what that means. How does someone have a bold transformation? I personally equate bold transformation with advanced mental strengthening. So whenever you see college degree required, you should think, is my mental strength where it needs to be for the role the company is looking to fill? So in some respect, you can view collegiate institutions as an advanced boot camp for the mind. Here is a list of boot camp focal points that came to mind for me given my experiences in college. How many subjects can you continuously learn simultaneously within one semester without being overloaded? The test here for mental strength relates to comprehension of multiple challenging subjects within a finite period of time, and then repeat for multiple semesters with different subject matter each semester. Next, how well are you with managing a heavy workload? Outside of college classes, some students work and/or maintain other commitments or responsibilities. The test here is to see if you can manage your workload, adjusting the workload as appropriate to align with your personal workload capacity, and still deliver quality work. Next is, how well can you learn abstract concepts? Now, my background is engineering, so without reviewing the coursework for other four-year degrees, I'm assuming that any four-year degree has some level of coursework dealing with abstract concepts. This could relate to math and science classes, maybe even health and psychology classes. The test here is to gauge your ability to comprehend teachings of subject matter that is not tangible in the real world. Teachings that may be heavy in theory versus practice. The goal here is to internalize the abstract subject matter and then demonstrate your level of understanding through tests and quizzes. The next one may be somewhat of a personal bias, but I believe my personal experience brought to light this skill set that can create tremendous value in life. How well are you at humility and seeking the help of others to gain knowledge. The test here is, if you are having trouble learning something, do you continue trying to figure it out on your own, or do you seek assistance? I found that seeking assistance introduces diverse ways of thinking about a problem. Given a semester is a finite amount of time, it is highly advisable in favor to seek out tutoring and or leverage a professor's office hours as appropriate. You become much more efficient when you learn this skill set. Next, how well can you adapt to varying points of view? This can also be viewed as how well are you at shifting your paradigm when new information is presented that disproves a previous belief. The test here is related to communication and reasoning skills. Can you listen to the point of view of others, understand the logic behind their thought process, associate their thought process with your own, and then evolve your thinking when absolutely appropriate and beneficial for yourself and for society? Next, how well are you at following through on your commitments? Pretty straightforward, but basically, when you sign up for classes, do you do the work required to meet your personal goals? If you fail yourself, you will almost surely fail commitments to others. And last, learning the fundamental knowledge of target subjects. This test simply focuses on your ability to retain key formulas, concepts, principles that are directly related to your chosen field of study. So when trying to make sense of college, I would recommend considering all of these points. Why? Because when we are talking about a bold transformation, these points are of value in the employment market. I'm under the impression that most people think about this one point when thinking about college. And then the thought process could immediately jump to, would this justify the cost of college by itself? And then could further jump to the thought of something comparable to just this one point, like trade school or self-study. So I hope this helps with a more in-depth review of key value propositions for making the decision to attend college or not. Also, here are other beneficial opportunities associated with the college experience: advanced sports, networking, and a broader landscape for employment opportunities if you consider all of the points made. Here are some college transcripts. These can be considered the results of the boot camp training that can shed light on a person's abilities when beginning their career. Some key observations is workload per semester. If I recall correctly, 12 credit hours is the max recommended by a course counselor. So you can see when 13 credit hours was attempted, signs of stress are apparent given the grades indicating barely hanging on. Something else to look out for on transcripts is consecutive semesters and consecutive years. Boot camp is not meant to be broken up into easily manageable pieces, although it can be. But this is meant to test endurance. And then lastly, credit hours and grades at the start of boot camp versus at the end of boot camp. Did the person improve in performance and finish strong or not? One more mental model. This is a simple representation of the marginal value that can be realized by going through a boot camp experience versus other typical alternative learning approaches, where the focus may only be on fundamentals only. In this chart, it depicts that in your 20s and 30s, you would likely see your biggest ramp up in compensation. And then you reach a tipping point in your 40s and start to flatline in your 50s. The key to sustaining favorable compensation growth is to sustain your efforts in continuing bold transformations throughout your career. When you stop transforming, you become an unattractive asset for an employer. Just for fun, if you're interested in some thought-provoking questions related to college and advancing one's knowledge, here you go. Key message. It is clearly understood that college is not for everyone. But that should not result in anyone not knowing the full benefits of a college education versus alternative paths. We should all be nudging one another, especially those we love, to see continuous bold transformations regarding strengthening of the mind and knowledge building. Knowledge is indeed power, but knowledge held within a conditioned mind is much more advantageous to move society in the right direction. Stay connected to the overlooked benefits of the college experience. It could be a costly oversight. Knowledge is power.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the